Welcome, yogis, to this tutorial flow. Today we're working on our jump through. So you'll need a couple blocks. That's going to make it a lot easier to play with. If you don't have blocks, grab yourself a couple thick books, stack those up and have them handy. What you can expect today is a 20-minute flow. We'll do some preparatory postures, a little flowing to get the body warm, and then break down the stages and elements of the full jump through. So just come with your props, your mat, a little spirit, and let's do this. To begin, if you have blocks, just put those towards the top of your mat so that they're handy. If you don't have blocks, a couple of books would do the trick. You might even get away without needing them, so use your discretion there. Let's start by just getting into a tabletop position. Spread your fingers, grip down slightly into the floor, and we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow to begin. Inhales to drop the belly, peek up with your eyes, and curl your tailbone. The exhale, press round the back, draw your navel up. Again, inhale, scoop the heart forward. And exhale, push the ground away. Keep on moving with these. And just be mindful of the position of your shoulder blades. As we come through our cow back, the shoulders retract and draw down the back, opening the collarbones. As you push to your cat back, we feel the protraction, the separation of the shoulder blades, and almost a little elevation here. Move with fluidity. Let your breath be your guide. And if there's any sticky spots, feel free to hang out there a little bit and maybe shift forward and backwards. All right, as you're ready, let's tuck the toes, peel the hips up and back to a downward facing dog. Now you determine if you need a little bit of pedaling out, feel free to do that. And ultimately settling into some stillness with your heels anchoring down towards the floor. Observe if you're hunching it all in the back, if you're sort of dropping into the shoulders, right? Can you push the floor away, extending out through the heels of the hands, all the way out through the fingertips? Notice your weight in the palms shifting even more forward towards the fingertips, lightening up the load in the heels of the hands. Let's take one final round of breath. And then we'll tiptoe our way forward, feet to hands. Breathe in, lengthen your spine, half lift. Breathe out and fold. Rise to stand, sweep your arms high, and hands settle in front of your heart. Take another inhale to reach. Exhale, dive forward. Half lift. Plant your hands and step back to plank. Come down halfway, chaturanga. Swing your heart up for upward facing dog. And piking back, downward facing dog. 3 cycles of breath. Continue to push the ground away. One more cycle. On your next breath in, rise high on your tiptoes. Bend your knees to load your legs, peer forward, and try a hop, feet to hands. Inhale, lengthen, half lift. Bow forward. Press through your feet, come all the way up. The arms reach overhead and settle in front of your heart. Again, inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Weight towards your toes, belly lifts. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back. Come through chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Look forward, high tip toes, bend your knees, walk or hop, feet to hands. Half lifts and fold. Rise up, reach up, hands to heart center. One more round, Sun A. Inhale, extend. Exhale, belly lifts, quads engage, fold. Halfway lift. Plant your hands, step or jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to the floor to a tabletop. Stack your joints, and we'll start by just flipping the fingers to point at the long edge of the mat. Shift back and forth and observe that little stretch in the forearms. We always want to be careful with the wrists, right? They're small structures with lots of little bones, so feel around. And if you're getting any tenderness or feedback, adjust a little bit, right? Maybe don't go as far, or try changing up the angle, sitting back or even going slightly forward. And if you're ready for a little more, we'll turn the fingers now to aim at the knees. Heels of hands aiming towards the top edge of the mat, and you'll sit back towards your heels. Pulse in and out of it a couple times, just warming up the area. And then you might be able to sit in the stretch a little more. If you're craving even more sensation, you can try bending your elbows here, right? Getting even more of an angle. Couple more breaths. All right, let's come out of that. Hands to neutral on tented fingertips. Just a little strengthening to counter the stretch. And then last one here, palms face up with your fingers aiming at one another. Make fists with your hands and then open the palms. Open, close, in the most awkward fist you've ever made. You might circle out the thumbs a little bit, just wiggle the fingers. Try to keep your arms as straight as you can. Keep leaning forward a little bit. All right, come out of there, back onto tented fingers. One more moment. And then the hands will plant. You'll tuck your toes and lift back to dog. Rise to your tiptoes. Walk, hop, or float. Feet to hands. Half lift, inhale. Exhale to fold. Chair or pose. Sink low and sweep your arms up. Draw your navel in, making sure we're finding the medium between extremes. So in this posture, we don't want to arch the back too much just to sit low. At the same way, we don't want to tuck the tailbone too much so we're not able to lift the chest, right? Where is that sweet spot? And then can you sink a little bit deeper? Can your arms lift behind your ears any amount more? Take a breath in to lengthen spine. Breath out to sink deeper. Breath in, lengthen spine. Breath out, sink deeper. Again, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sit deeper. And can you come all the way down into your boat pose? Now the boat can be with bent knees, shins parallel to the ground. You could grab behind the legs to help keep the chest open. Maybe we release. Maybe we straighten the legs. Stay with me. Hug those legs into midline. We're here for 3. Breathe for 2. And 1. Bend your knees. Grab a hold of your shins. Now we're going to take a roll backwards. The trick with the roll is to make sure that you're really kind of tucking the tailbone, drawing your belly in, and keeping the rounding in your spine nice and smooth so there's no bumps along the way as we do our roll. Hug your knees into your chest. And then we take a little rock back, nice and smooth. rise up and see if you can come right back into your boat. Let's do a few of those. Roll, nice and smooth. Up and find some balance. Roll back and find balance. One more time. Roll. Find some balance. This time we'll rock and roll, build a little momentum, and see if we can come all the way up to our chair pose. Get here however you can. Spread your toes and sink low. Take another full inhale. Exhale and fold forward. Halfway lift. If needed, walk your feet back a little bit so you've got some room to play with in front of you. And then the fingers are going to come tented on the floor, or we'll use those handy blocks. Place tented fingers on top of the blocks and give yourself a little height. Situate your feet at hip-width distance apart. Make sure triceps are wrapping towards the back edge of your mat, so we're not hunched in the shoulders, but rather giving the neck some free space. The navel draws up to stabilize through center, and we'll extend the right leg straight back behind. Now, stage one, we're going to come through to a pistol squat here. You're going to lift your left heel, the standing foot, lift the heel up off the floor, again giving you some height to play with. Now your right leg, stage one, the knee is going to curl in towards your chest. As your standing leg bends, your right leg will kick through and you come down to squat. Now let's see if we can come back up, push through the standing leg. The right leg will stay straight and we'll try to slide it back to the three leg. Now you could try this with the left heel on the ground. Bring the right leg down, hover to skip the floor, kick it through. Your heel lifts as you squat. And then again, push through the fingertips, press into the standing leg, slide a straight right leg back to the three leg or the warrior three. One more time. Bring the right leg through, kick it through, squat down. And then again, we lift up, slide it back. Slowly reach your right toes back for 3, for 2, and 1. Land in a runner's lunge. We can move those blocks out of the way. Bring your tented fingertips onto the mat. And then stabilizing through your hips, inhale, left arm to the sky to twist. Take some full breaths. Left knee charging forward. Right heel extending backward. Inhale to reach and open. Exhale, bring your left hand back down to the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Spread your fingers and toes. Feel the nice symmetry of this familiar posture. All right, once again, top of the mat, however you want to get there. Walk, hop, or float. Half lift, breathe in. Fold forward. Rise up, sweep up. Hands to heart center. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Half lift, come up on tented fingertips. Heel toe your feet to hips width distance apart. And then again, you might walk back a couple steps to give yourself some room. Send your left leg back behind you into your supported warrior 3. Again, you have the option to bring the blocks in. If that last round seemed like it was easy, right, the next level is kind of removing the blocks. You've got less room to play with, similar to the lift or the lower of the right heel. So let's start together by lifting the right heel away from the floor. Get that nice height. Tuck your left knee into your chest. And now as you bend your right knee, the standing leg, squat down, the left leg will kick through. And then we'll slide out, attempting to keep the left leg straight. Push through your fingers, push through the standing leg, and slide it back. Now maybe the right heel stays on the floor. Maybe you play with a straight left leg. Either variation, here we go. Left leg comes down, Kick it through, squat down. And then again, push down, slide it back. Once more, bring it down and through, squat, and kick it back. Let's do one more. Left leg through, kick it forward, and slide it back. Now slow motion to our runner's lunge. Reach the left toes back for 3, bend your standing leg for 2, and 1. Slide your blocks out of the way. Tent your fingers. Organize your lunge, each foot on its own lane. And then it's inhale, right arm to sky to twist. Remain active in the legs, pretending like you could lift your left hand off the floor. Push down through your feet. Take one final inhale. Float your right hand back down. Pick up your right foot, step back to dog. 3 breaths. All right. Bring your mind, your attention to your hip crease. Shorten your down dog a little bit here. And then we're going to try some high hip jumps. Look forward beyond your fingers and make sure your arms stay straight and you have the elevation of the shoulders, right? There is a reaching sensation there. Rise up onto your tiptoes, bend your knees, and now jump from your hip crease right up over the shoulders and land back in the same spot. Just do that a few times, right? High jump, hips over shoulders, and land. The more you can keep those arms straight and lean into it, the lighter your landing will be. When you're satisfied, drop your knees down to the mat, swing your legs around front, and find a seat. Okay, so we've made it, right? Let's try our actual jump through. We've been working different elements of it, getting the arms turned on, the protraction and pressing through the floor, and some nice compression in the belly. So let's marry those actions. I want you to start by crossing your shins, having your knees pointing towards the sky, and then wrapping your arms around your legs. Squeeze those into your chest and start to come back until you find a little balance point on your pelvis. Lean back until the toes lift off and continue to squeeze the legs in. Now the goal here is to keep this compression, continue to connect the thigh and the belly, and then see if you can release with the arms and push forward like you're doing a crow pose or something on the wall in front of you. Push through your hands and equally hug the thighs into your belly. Now this is the feeling we're trying to replicate as we do our jump through. All right, come down and out of there. We'll use the blocks now. So again, if you don't have blocks, grab some books. You can technically do this without the blocks, but as you're learning it, these are immensely helpful. Hello, kitty. So we'll start with the blocks just slightly in front of the hips. The idea here is, actually, you know what? That's the jump back. So tune in next time for the jump back. This is just a little bit of a lift we're using. So I want you to transition back to your tabletop. We want those blocks about mat width and enough where you can sit between them, but we don't want them too wide because the idea, again, is that we're jumping the legs through. If the blocks are very wide, now the height that we're playing with has shortened. If the blocks are closer together, right, we've got a little bit more room to glide, but of course we need some clearance to be able to get the legs through and sit. There are stages to the jump through like anything else. First stage we've already begun to play with, which is the high hip jump. What often happens in this transition is that we're so focused on getting through that we end up kind of jumping and then shooting the legs, tucking the tailbone, right? So it would look something like this, right? We're just trying to get the legs through. The problem with that is we're losing all of this height we're trying to create. We've got this nice lifted down dog that we start with, right? The hips are nice and high, and then we're taking all that away by tucking. So let's come back into our short down dog with the hands on the blocks. And then we'll do a couple more of those high hip jumps. Think about jumping up from your hip crease. Keep all that vertical height there. High tip toes, bend the knees, look where you're going, and take a couple big jumps. Hips over shoulders. And I assure you, with your legs in front of you, your weight is going to come back down to your feet. So just trust that and really give it some oomph, right? Kick, jump. All right. Now, stage 2, we want to get in that tight ball so that we can fit through our clearance and complete the jump through. So while we're jumping, we also want to cross our shins to begin to get into that shape we're ready to slide through. We'll do a few more of those big jumps, this time just adding a little cross of the shins, jump, cross the shins, and land on your feet. Give those a couple tries. Jump, cross the shins, and land. Jump, cross, land. All right, come down and take a break. The last piece, getting the legs through. We have height from our jump, height from the down dog. Now we need to also get the most we can out of the action in the shoulders, which is this cat back, right? We're rounding to draw the belly up. That's going to give the legs room to come into the chest and slide. And then we want to ensure that we're pushing to the ground, shoulder blades are spreading apart, and we've got all this nice support through the shoulder girdle. The first step of this is going to do our jump, our cross shins, and just land in a cross-leg seat. I'll show you what that looks like. We come up, big jump, cross shins, and land. Not too bad. We'll practice those a few times. If you're ready to go a step further, you're using this little hover, this place of pushing through the ground to clear, right? So we'll do our same jump, high hips, cross shins. This time, though, pushing and tucking, trying to keep our butt hovering off the floor. It's a jump, across, a glide, and down. This can, in the beginning, seem like a whole lot of swinging momentum. More and more with the vertical jump and the vertical drop, you're not getting as much swing going on. So you just keep practicing it. Keep that upwards motion, the push through the ground, contain in the belly, and practice, right? Practice, practice, practice. The more you do it, the more comfortable it will be. I'll do a couple more. You keep practicing. Any stage that you're working with is good work. So we assume the position, hands on blocks, rise to your tiptoes, look forward. Bend your knees, you're already pushing the floor away, belly is already lifting. High hips, cross shins, tuck, and glide. All right, you know what to do. Play with this as much as you like. When you're all done, feel free to take a little rest, maybe a simple seated meditation to wind down. Observe your body. Have fun with it. Yoga isn't so serious, right? And we'll see you next time. Namaste.